my team on the back. I'm good. I got this.
You're always asking him for
No, I don't want none.
I don't want props. Ohio State is the second best team in the country, and that's just eye testing. That's just my eye test. And Louisville's the third best team, and I am sticking with Michigan in my top 4 over Clemson, and I will tell you why. Michigan had one of those tough Big Ten road games. In fact, they don't play many road games, it seems like, this year. So Michigan's on the road at Iowa, a fired-up underdog Iowa that had just gotten embarrassed by Penn State. And Michigan is ahead 13-11 with about 4 minutes left. And Wilton Speight, the quarterback with whom Jim Harbaugh has worked minor miracles this year, takes off on a scramble and gets his collarbone broken. We didn't know that at the time, but he's a little gimpy, holding his left arm up. And on 3rd and 9, then from the 38, he tries to throw, and he throws a pick. And it turns the tide, although Iowa threw it right back to Michigan. But here you go. You put him back in the game, not knowing Wilton Speight had a broken collarbone. And he actually threw a very good third down pass to Darboh, and I thought Darboh should have caught it, but he did not. And all of a sudden, the door swings wide open with a punt and a face mask penalty that I immediately tweeted about because I thought it was egregiously wrong. And it really cost Michigan in this game, if we could see it. It wasn't a face mask. There's just no grabbing of the mask. It was just a rake. That's not a face mask. Huh? No, it's not. No, it's just fingertips across the bottom of the mask. He didn't yank on the mask. So it's 15 yards, and it immediately puts Iowa in field goal range, and you know the rest of the story, and they lose 14-13. Now I don't know if the committee is going to penalize Michigan because the quarterback is, I assume, gone for X time. I don't know how long it's going to take, maybe for the rest of the year. So the kid, John O'Corn, who's played a little bit, will be the stand-in. Michigan doesn't win with its quarterback. It wins with its head coach, to me, and its defense. And it had the number 1 ranked defense going into this game. They're still number 1. And I would bank on their defense and their offensive coordinator named Jim Harbaugh and their head coach and motivator, Jim Harbaugh. I still think they're a little better than a Clemson team that has struggled all year. I don't know what's happened to Deshaun Watson. He indicated going into the year he was feeling a lot of excess pressure to live up to the Heisman expectations. You always talk about expectations. And I think they were hard on Deshaun. And I like him a lot as a player, but he has struggled to the point that he threw 3 more interceptions at home against Pitt. 5-4 Pitt just beat Clemson at Clemson by rolling up 464 yards on Venable's defense. That's not top 4 worthy to me. And obviously Clemson struggled this year with NC State at home, took overtime to survive them. Florida State's obviously struggling this year, not the Florida State we've known and loved. And Florida State, it took them right to the wire. It was 37-34. So they have barely dodged upsets all year long, and I'm just not impressed. I'm not sold on Clemson, and I'm still sold enough on Michigan. They should be in the 4th spot.
Well, I think we have pretty much the same, but we flip-flop a couple. I have Alabama, of course, is number 1. I put Louisville in the
You love them.
I put Louisville in the 2nd spot. I put Ohio State in the 3rd spot. And I put Clemson in the 4th spot. And I took Clemson because they went to Auburn and beat them. Opening game. Yep, they ranked.
Auburn wasn't Auburn yet, but go ahead.
They beat Florida State in Tallahassee.
Yep.
And they beat my 2nd-ranked team by my ranking. Then they'll probably be 3rd. They beat Louisville at home.
They survived.
If you look at
42-36.
Yeah. If you look at Michigan, they did beat Wisconsin at home. Wisconsin is the number 6 team in the country. They beat
They crushed Penn State 49-10. Now that's impressive.
State. Penn State was unranked.
They're ranked now.
They beat Colorado at home. Colorado was unranked.
Yeah, they're ranked now.
Ohio State lost to Penn State, who beat them unranked at the time. I think Louisville lost to Clemson on the road, played them tough. Clemson was the 2nd-ranked team last year in the playoff standing. I just think Clemson's body of work, I did factor in Spates breaking that collarbone. I did factor that in, so that's why I have Bama 1, Louisville 2, Ohio State 3, Clemson 4. It's going to be very interesting how they view Wisconsin because they do have 2 losses on their resume, and that's why I didn't go quite there with them yet. But Bama, Louisville, Ohio State, Clemson. And what the playoff committee is trying to get away from is having 2 teams from the same conference in the playoffs because they wanted to do away with that since Alabama and LSU met for the national championship one year. So the very next year, I think, or maybe 2 years later, they went to a college playoff system. They do not want this to happen. But I don't see, Skip, because I don't see who can jump them. I don't see Louisville losing a game, and Clemson has the inside track to win their side of the draw in the ACC and play
North Carolina or Virginia Tech
for the AC outright
they
ACC
can
crown.
probably win out, but you never know.
So are you going to have Ohio State and Michigan? One of those teams will be out of the playoffs.
Okay.
Because Michigan goes to Ohio State in about 2 weeks.
What's going to happen is, if Ohio State beats Michigan, then Penn State's going to the conference championship game against probably Wisconsin.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the committee always talks about how they give edges to conference champions.
Yes.
Please don't tell me you would put Penn State into the Final Four over Ohio State. It just should. I'm sorry. I know there's head-to-head, but Ohio State was in dominant control of that game until the fourth quarter when they flat out collapsed. What was it, 17-0 in the fourth quarter? I just don't want to hear it. Do you believe that Penn State right now is better than Ohio State?
No.
I just fear the system is going to dictate that Penn State is in the Final Four.
Well, since you're giving people truth serum today, and I had to take some, do you think any of those teams in the top four could beat Alabama right now? Think about it long and hard, Skip.
I respect Urban Meyer enough to get his team ready with a month or whatever it is to get ready. I do give him a chance because you know what happened 2 years ago. That had a lot to do with Ezekiel Elliott and Cardale Jones. You remember they were just flying high at that point, but they caught fire late. So I would give Urban a shot with his talent because it's a young team that's just coming of age. And I would give your man Lamar Jackson a shot just because it's what he does and that torments what Saban tries not to do, which is to stop he would have to be able to throw it, though. I don't think he'd be able to run it against them, but he would have to be able to throw it.
Well, the thing is that Coach Saban tries to do, he tries to make you one-dimensional. And he tries to take one aspect of the game. And what happened, because he couldn't take Ezekiel away, now Cordell Jones could play pass and throw the ball down the field. So he could actually take nothing away. But Alabama still was they were in complete control of that game. And then one fatal, Blake Sims threw that interception. And it changed.
The whole Jerry World ceiling fell in. Wasn't it Jerry World? It seemed like, no, he was in the Sugar Bowl. I can't remember. But the ceiling, the roof fell in, right?
Yeah.
And it was a wipeout after that.
And Alabama turned the ball over, 4 times? This is a different team. They look different. I'm anxious to see how the playoff committee ranks these teams and the reasonings that they're going to give. The one thing that we know for certain is Alabama is the number one team in the country. So after that, 2, 3, 4, how and why do you come to this conclusion? Because everybody has flaws. I mean, you look at Ohio State losing to an unranked Penn State at the time, Clemson losing to an unranked Pitt at the time, and Louisville lost to Clemson. So Louisville has a case that, look, us and Alabama, we definitely belong in the top 4. Everybody else, you can make a case like, okay, I can see, but there only one. Alabama has no losses, and everybody else has 1 loss, and that's another reason I left these teams in the top.
Would you allow me one last statement as a University of Oklahoma football fan that I make? My worst nightmare is Bob Stoops is doing it again after 2 ugly early losses to Houston, in the city of Houston, and then to Ohio State, who ran my Sooners off their own field on a Saturday night in Norman, Oklahoma. They have suddenly and predictably caught fire. And Stoops has like 9 playoff lives, and he's used up about 8 of them, but he's got 1 left. And when you least expect it, he always backs in somehow. He's backed into 2 national championship games, and he backed in last year. And what's going to happen is, if he somehow manages to back in this time, they will draw Alabama in the semifinal, and they will lose 55-3. That's what will happen, because that's what always they get there through the back door, and then they get kicked out the back door, right?
But that'll keep him his job.
Let's just say Alabama lose the SEC championship game. Do you think they will still put Alabama in?
Yep, I do.
I believe so also.
Yep.
Because everybody else will have had 1 loss, but I just don't see anybody, barring a catastrophic injury of some sort, I don't see somebody from the SEC East beating Alabama in the championship game in the Georgia Dome.
They're incredibly dominant. We'll find out tonight when the college football playoff rankings are released. Coming up, what do Skip and Shannon make of the latest developments in the Ezekiel Elliott investigation? That's one from the 4th down on the 3-yard line early in the 4th quarter. The Giants are now 6-3. After the game, Odell Beckham Jr. said, "We're really looking forward to February 5th in Houston. That's the goal, obviously. I probably said that the past 2 or 3 years since I've been in the league. I feel real confident in this team. The defense is a Super Bowl defense. This is a playoff defense. The offense, we're working to get better each and every day. Shannon, what was your biggest takeaway from last night's game?
I don't know what to make of the Bengals. When you look at them, they can beat any team that's on their schedule. And then you turn your head and look back, they can lose to any team that's on their schedule. And I think the biggest thing and the reason why we see so much inconsistency is that we see the inconsistency in their quarterback play. Because from week to week, you never know which Andy Dalton you're going to get. He can come out and throw for 3 touchdowns and 350 yards, and then the next week he looks like a totally different football player.
Yep.
The Bengals also, I look at the Bengals like a stock. The previous 12 years before Marvin Lewis arrived, they underperformed. They didn't make the playoffs. Marvin Lewis comes there. He's in his, 14th year now. Mm-hmm. He comes there, and the 7 of his first 13 years, they show growth. Mm-hmm. But now they seem to have
made the playoffs.
Right. They made 7 times in their 13 seasons there.
Yep.
Now they seem to have stabilized. And it doesn't seem to be going up or down. It's just like they're here, right here.
Yep.
And that's what I don't get. And I don't know how much longer does Marvin stay there. Maybe they need to hear a new voice. Obviously, you're not going to get rid of Dalton because you got money invested in him. And who are you going to get? And I know Mike Brown. You know Mike Brown, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Mr. Brown, I shouldn't call him Mike. He's old enough to be my father. Mr. Brown is very cheap, miserly, thrifty, however you want to look at it.
Yep.
I don't believe Marvin's contract runs through next year. I don't believe he will fire Marvin, have to pay that salary, and then hire someone else and have to pay him. So that's where I am on the Bengals. The Giants, I still don't trust them. I watched Eli last night, and I see him make mistakes in year 13 that a guy that's in year 1 or 2 would make. And that's one of the reasons why I don't trust this team to go very far if they were to make the playoffs. Their defense, they're getting bang for their buck. Olivier Vernon is showing up. Janoris Jenkins, he's showing up. Harrison, what they signed him for from the Jets to stop the run, he's doing that. But the guy that I've been most impressed with is Landon Collins because he came out of Alabama. He was a run stuffer. Mm-hmm. He's all over the field. He leads them in sacks and leads them in INTs and tackles. He's a special type of player. So they have the defense that could possibly travel. But with Eli making these same mistakes that a first or second year quarterback would make, I don't really have a whole lot of trust in him.
I'll take your points in order. Let's start with Marvin and the Bengals. I can't write them off yet, even at 3-5-1, because they are so blessed to be playing in the division in which they are now inhabiting because nobody's very good.
No.
And even at 3-5-1, when I look down the rest of their schedule, they have 4 home games out of the last 7. Mm-hmm. They could win all 4 of those. They could win it. They got 1 game at Cleveland. I'm pretty sure they'll win that game.
Right.
So I don't know. Could they steal this division? Could they be an 8-8 playoff team, or they got a tie?
7-8-1.
So, yeah, they could be 7-8-1, make the playoffs. Sure, they could. So I can't dismiss them, even though Marvin at this point, 14th year, 0-7 in playoff games, 0-7. It's hard to defend that. And at some point, I'm with you. You just need a new voice. But he, like his quarterback, is just good enough to keep his job. But Andy Dalton is not good enough to win the games, maybe a Monday night game on the biggest stage, or a playoff game. And I'm not sure Marvin is that guy either. They're almost like the same type where they're pretty good. Right. Marvin's pretty good. I still think he might be a better defensive coordinator than a head coach, but he's been a pretty good head coach. Yes. Andy Dalton, he's made 2 Pro Bowls. I mean, that's pretty great. You know, like, okay, so he's good enough to stay in that job, but when you really need him, he's going to frustrate you. And he's going to torment Bengals fans because he's not that guy. There's no it factor to Andy Dalton, and there's no it factor to a pretty talented football team that still under Marvin, when you least expect it, or maybe most, I don't know, they self-destruct. Obviously, against Pittsburgh in that playoff game, they should have won it last year, right?
Yes.
And they shot themselves in the foot repeatedly, and Burfict went out of control, and we know the rest of that story. So I can't write them off, though, because they are fortunate to be in the position they are in their division. Now let's go to Eli. when that game ended last night, it felt to me like the Giants should have won by 2 touchdowns. They just felt that much better at home, their stage. And the reason they didn't win by 14 points is that I'm going to go here. This occurred to me last night. Eli, as good as he can occasionally be or often be, he's got some Jay Cutler in him. And the Jay Cutler is the Cutler factor is where you have no threat from your backup quarterback. In fact, I forgot to even look it up. I'm not even sure who the backup is right now because it doesn't matter. Eli is amazingly healthy and durable. Amazingly. He just keeps on keeping on.
Yeah.
And the point is that he's a made man, obviously, in New York City. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings by hook or crook, but that's a whole other issue. But because of the rings, because of his pedigree, because of his father and his older brother, he's a Manning, but he can get away with just about anything he wants to get away with. And when you least expect it, he'll try something that is just flat out Jay Cutler stupid.
Yes.
Like, what are you doing? So what happened last night? Second quarter. This is the first interception. It's 7-all. They're buried in their own territory. And all of a sudden, he just rises up and throws it to Dre Kirkpatrick. Just hits him out in the flat. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he returns it, if we could see this. Up. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Come on, Eli. Up. Here we go.
Yeah. He was late. Kirkpatrick, he did make a great play, but he was late. But this is the one you're talking about.
The second one is it's 21-20. They have made their 4th down play that Joy talked about. And Dalton has just thrown an interception. And you think it's game over. Right. And Eli on the next play throws it right back to him. And you say, what are you doing? I'm sure Giants fans everywhere. What are you doing, Eli? Well, I say that every other Sunday about Eli Manning. It's that Jay Cutler where you have no checks and balance in your system. Like you're not afraid to try anything because there's no threat to you.
Right.
You're not going to get replaced. You're going to, Jay Cutler's just had this joyride in Chicago because he's never really been threatened by like a young upcoming quarterback,
right.
Dak Prescott.
Right.
There's never been a Dak Prescott in New York or in Chicago yet. So the Giants now, Eli has 15 touchdowns to 10 interceptions and 2 lost fumbles. They are -8 in turnovers, which ranks 30th in the NFL. Well, that's loser stats.
Yes.
But the defense has come alive, and now they've won 4 straight games because you know what? The defense, as a Cowboy supporter, it scares me the most of any NFC East defense.
Yes.
I think it's pretty good, and I think it has sort of a veteran quality to it. I just look around and I see players who have been there before. Even though they don't have playoff experience, I see a more solid defense. Janoris Jenkins and Landon Collins, they have players, Casillas, they have players who have been around, who have been there and done all this before. So they are the biggest threat to me in the division. You say you don't trust them. I still fear them a little bit as we talk about. The biggest threat to the Cowboys is obviously their owner, right? There's no doubt about that. But if I have to pick a team, it's this team that you initially picked to win the division.
Well, you say it's every week seems to be every other week that Eli make a play or do something that make you say, what are you doing? It's every game. He's going to make one of those plays. Now, whether or not the defense comes up with it, he'll make a throw. And you're like, Eli, why? But to get back to your Andy Dalton will win you a game. But can he win you the game? That's the question.
I don't see it.
That's the question you have to ask yourself. And I get it because you have to remember what the Bengals were before Marvin arrived. That was Siberia. There were a couple of franchises that you didn't want to, it's an NFL team, but you have an idea like, I really don't even have a chance to win there. And no amount of money for me when I played could console me or insulate me enough that losing would be okay.
No amount of money?
No amount of money. No. Because I would
know. There might be.
No, I would take less money.
$300 million?
Well,
there we go.
Yeah. Okay. But here's the thing. But I tell you what, $300 million or $200 million to win. But that was the thing, though, Skip. And so you look at where they were. The Bengals are like, yeah, we might not win a playoff game, but considering we were 1-15 or 2-14 or 6-10 every year, going to the playoffs is great. Now, would we like to be like the Patriots and win? We like to be like the Broncos that be in the playoffs and win every year? Sure. But considering where we're coming from, and you have to realize the Bengals don't have the steepest pedigree. It's not.
Well, I mean, they had been to 2 Super Bowls before. Ken Anderson and Boomer. You know.
Yeah, and so from 91, and then last playoff appearance was 91, and then you see what they were from 91 until Marvin arrived on the scene in 03. You're like, they're very happy going 10-6, 12-4.
No, I got it.
But that's the thing. Have they reached the apex? Can Dalton and Marvin take them any higher than what they are right now? And that's the question Mr. Brown's going to have to ask himself. But you and I both know his pockets, man. Hey, he squeezed that Eagle be crying on the quarter because he squeezed it tight. He ain't letting no money go, Skip.
But by NFL standards, he's cheap. But
Skip, by normal people's standards, he's cheap.
I don't know. That franchise is still worth whatever it is, like
billions, right? And that's what makes it so egregious. Why he's so cheap. I mean, he's digging way down. He like stuffing for way down in his pocket trying to get money up out of there. Write the check.
They think for $300 million you would go to Cincinnati.
I'd take $200 million and go to New England.
Oh, who would?
Tough sell. Next up, the college football playoff rankings will be released tonight. Number 1 ranked Alabama won easily on Saturday, but for the first time since 1985, number 2, 3, and 4 ranked teams all lost on the same day. Skip, who should be in the top 4?
Joy. My top 4, obviously, Roll Tide. Give me a roll.
Yeah, I'm going to do it real slow. Go ahead, Skip.
You might be rolling all the way to the championship.
Yeah,
I'm not sure there's anybody